one of the great things, we've had great support along the journey at V8 Sleuth from Castrol. They're on board with us on the Undercut this year. And to get us warmed up, there's been a bit going in the last couple of months, but I wanted us to go through our Castrol Performers of the Week. And you guys have been having a look at the sport on the weekend, and there's a couple of interesting ones that have been going on. But I'd like to nominate a guy that we've all worked with over the journey as our Castrol Performer of the Week, or mine anyway, probably of the last few weeks and the next few weeks, because he's been pretty busy. But there's been so much about the television change in supercars in the off-season, and so much of it's been about the guys who are not there anymore. Neil Crompton, Mark Scaife, your good self. But I wanted to put a bit of a light on one of the guys who is there this year, and I think he's been an unsung hero for a long time. And he's proof that nice guys do win, Richard Craill. I mean, have a look at the performance and the workload lately. The Next Gen Series in New Zealand, the Bathurst 12-hour, Australian Grand Prix for Channel 10, calling Formula One with Damon Hill, 96 world champion. He'll do the 2 rounds of supercars in New Zealand. He's doing the Speed Series again, Bathurst 6-hour at Easter. This guy's never home. I mean, whatever he's paying in mortgages or rents or whatever, it's not working because he's not there to use that house of his. But I think he's proof that nice guys do win in the end.
Yeah, definitely. You couldn't have said that any better, Noons. He's not just a performer of the week. He's just a performer in general. So, I'm looking forward to hearing him finally get his crack in a semi-full-time capacity calling supercars races. It's very much deserved. And like you touched on there, we've all been fortunate enough to work with Krause, and he is an absolute professional.
Jack, you've worked with him plenty over the journey.
Yeah, Krause's a gun and deserves this opportunity more than anyone else. He's really good at what he does. He's a consummate professional, and I can't wait to tune in to listen to the dulcet tunes of Richard Craill when he's calling those supercars races. Because I got to call the Grand Prix with the Australian Grand Prix support races, I should say. Races, back in 2012, I think it was.
When they weren't part of the championship.
Yeah, correct, correct. So what's that? 15 odd years ago now. So Krause's served his apprenticeship. He's done incredibly well, and he deserves this. So good on him, and we'll be watching on with interest, Krause, and you'll smash it out of the park, mate.
And if you stuff it up, we'll absolutely be coming down on you harder than anybody else. Jacko, who's your Castrol Performer of the Week?
Yeah, well, Noons, I do like my NASCAR. Obviously, on the weekend, there wasn't as much racing as usual with no Formula One, no supercars. But this year so far, Tyler Reddick has really stood out amongst the rest. They've had 6 races. He's won 4. He won the first 3 in a row in the championship, which was an incredible performance. But in particular, on the weekend in Darlington, I was very impressed because the car actually had alternator and battery voltage issues. It meant that he couldn't run with a cool suit or a helmet blower fan, and cycled to the back of the field, but just had car speed and got back to the front and won the race. And he looked stuffed after the race without having all the cooling gear. So for that effort, for winning 4 out of the first 6 races in the NASCAR Championship, Tyler Reddick is my Castrol Performer of the Week.
It's pretty impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, and I saw a stat pop up. It must have been just after the race. So he's the only driver since Dale Earnhardt Sr. in 1987 and Bill Elliott in 1992 to win the first 4 of the first 6 races.
It's pretty impressive. So, that's pretty good company to be.
Especially given what NASCAR is now with that current generation car and the lack of practice they have. But, driving for 2311, Michael Jordan wins the biggest race of the year straight up, the Daytona 500, and also beat Shane Van Gisbergen at his own game.
Mm.
So, he's on a roll. Just hopefully for him, the way that new NASCAR finals system is, hopefully he's not peaking too early.
You want to make sure that you're going later in the year. Who's your Castrol Performer of the Week? Because I think is it someone that's that goes around in circles as well?
It does, yeah. It's a bit of a speedway theme, if you like. But I've gone a bit left field. And I'm going to give a shout out to James McFadden, who won a high limits race in the US, the Cactus Classic in Central Arizona. So, he's a perfect example of an Aussie over there that probably goes under the radar in terms of mainstream motorsport media and probably doesn't quite get the recognition that he deserves. He's a high-quality operator. Every time he comes back for the Australian summer, he's one of the drivers that is always contending for wins. So, J-Mac, he always celebrates with a nice shoey after his wins. So, that's my Castrol Performer of the Week.
Well, lucky we are putting the highlights on some of these people overseas, particularly the Australians doing things, because Speedway does a horrible job generally of telling the world what's going on in its racing with its drivers, with its teams. So glad that here on Castrol Performer of the Week that we can actually put someone from Speedway into the mix. Of course, it's for Castrol Edge. It's data engineered for Castrol's ultimate performance. If you want to know more, head to castrol.com.au/edge.